You're listening to the Chad HD Show on demand. Good for you. Now download the KFYO app and listen live weekday afternoons 5 to 7 p.m. Central.
Broadcasting from the great state of Texas, this is the Chad Hasty Show. News and views with a Lone Star perspective. You can sound off during the show by sending Chad a text at 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. Or call in at 1-800-687-0790. Now, here's Chad Hasty.
Good evening, Lubbock, Amarillo, Abilene, Wichita Falls, Midland, Odessa, Dallas, Fort Worth, down in Houston, over in El Paso, and anywhere else inside or outside the great state of Texas, wherever you may be listening on this Tuesday, September 24th. Welcome in to the Chad HD Show. Glad to have you with us today, whether you're driving home, maybe stuck in traffic, still at the office. Maybe you're at home, ready to get the, maybe throw something on the grill this evening. I don't know. Wherever you are, we appreciate you inviting us in and hanging out with us for the next 2 hours as we get into all the topics of the day, all the big headlines that you want to talk about, and, of course, get your thoughts on any of the news out there today. We've got some local headlines that we'll be getting into out of Lubbock County. We've got some other local news to get into throughout the state. We've got some statewide news, including a possible cell phone ban, a statewide cell phone ban inside classrooms. What do you think about that idea? We'll get into it coming up right around 5:35 or so this evening. We're also going to talk about some new polling numbers coming out showing that the GOP has an advantage going into the election. That's good news, but that doesn't mean we can just sit around and say that this is going to be an easy election. It's not. It's going to be close. We know that. And the Washington Post, they have an opinion piece out there going, well, wait a minute. Maybe Trump is Hitler. Maybe we don't want to dismiss the idea of Trump being Hitler. Yes, a real opinion piece today in the Washington Post about the Trump-Hitler rhetoric that people should really consider out there. I guess with that $150,000 bounty that the assassin put on Trump, the Washington Post really wanted to kind of dig in a little bit and spread this notion that Trump is basically Adolf Hitler. So we'll get into that. We've got some other 2024 campaign news to get into. And, of course, as always, we want to hear from you. What's making news in your area? What do you think about all the big topics of the day? You've heard from everybody else all day long. Now it's your opportunity to sound off on the issues, make your opinion heard on the issues of the day. How do you get in touch with us? It's very, very simple. You can text in at 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. You can also give us a call at 1-800-687-0790. That's 1-800-687-0790. When you do text in, give us your name, where you're listening from. That way we can also give you a nice proper shout out when you text into the program. When you call in, all you have to do is get past the first voice you hear from. When you dial in, Nick, how are you today? I really haven't seen you today. There's been some, we've walked by each other, but we did not have a pre-show meeting of any type at all. And it seems as though you've been a little flustered at the top of the show.
Yeah, flustered is a good word.
Okay,
but hey, it's it happens.
Is everything okay?
Everything's okay.
Okay, good.
Everything's okay.
Good.
It's just one thing leads to another.
Sure.
And then you're juggling about four things.
Yeah.
And I've never learned how to juggle.
No.
So it's difficult for me. But hey, I haven't broken anything.
I
haven't dropped and broken anything yet.
That's good.
So I'm
you
still
break
here.
it, you buy it.
Exactly, and you know what? I'm sticking through, and I'm gonna fight it out. And we're good on this. Already 5 p.m. on a Tuesday? Isn't that crazy?
Aren't you happy about that? Doesn't that feel good?
It is a little. It does feel a little good.
Yeah.
I do appreciate that. Speaking of time, tonight I'm going to watch a movie. Guess what time I'm going to watch this movie?
Are you going to a movie?
I'm going to a movie theater.
You're going to a movie theater.
Yes.
A movie theater.
Yeah.
8:30.
9:50 is the start of the movie. Do you know what movie it is?
No.
It's the new Wolverine one, which I know is not a short movie.
Yeah, Deadpool versus Wolverine.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's a
you've
good
seen
movie.
it.
Yeah,
You've seen,
I've seen it.
I have never seen it. My fiance and I, we are going to watch it tonight from 9:50 to however long the movie is.
Yeah.
So if tomorrow I'm a little groggy, it's just I had a good time at the theater, and I didn't get a lot of sleep.
Is 9 because it's been out. It's been out for a while now.
And I've tried to avoid spoilers. We neither of us have seen it.
Yeah.
We keep saying we need to plan on watching this.
Yeah.
And we throw some loose plans out there. We're like, all right, this weekend, let's do it. And then that never happens. So finally, we got the tickets. 10 p.m.
Why?
10 p.m. showing.
I'm about to sound very old.
Yeah.
Why are you going so late?
Yeah. But that's how I feel. That's exactly how I feel. I don't know. My fiance booked the tickets. I don't ask any questions. When she makes decisions.
Sure.
Look, see, I'm learning.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, this is good.
I'm learning how this whole pre-marriage, marriage thing works.
Uh-huh.
When she makes plans and makes decisions, you go with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you went like this. Did you go, 9:50. Okay. Shouldn't be a lot of traffic then.
To an extent.
9:50 on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Oh, well, the popcorn line should be very short.
Yeah. Look at all those open seats at 9:50 on a Tuesday night. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, thanks for setting that up.
Thanks, honey. This is great.
Yeah, that's pretty much how
We'll
it went.
have the run of the theater.
Yeah. I'm still looking forward to it.
Yeah.
It's a movie. Both of us, we love Marvel.
Yeah.
We like a little Deadpool.
Yeah.
And some Wolverine. So I'm looking forward to it. We're gonna get some snacks.
You'll enjoy
get
it.
Get some food. It's at the Alamo
Yeah.
Draft House.
Okay.
So we're gonna spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
To get some food. But again, 10 p.m. I'm sure we're probably one of the only ones in the theater.
Yeah.
So our service is probably going to be very quick.
See how you're sounding right now is is how I felt when they released the Texas Tech football schedule for the the Arizona game.
Sure.
And the Arizona game, it's an 11 p.m. Mountain Time kick, which I'm like, okay, all right, let's see.
It's going to be a late night tonight, I guess.
Let's see how this goes because college age Chad, no problem. That was a 10 p.m. Central kick. Hey, that's Big 12 after dark. This is going to be fun. You're partying all day, and then 10 p.m. comes around. You're like, here we go. This is going to be great.
Yeah.
Now, the game's not over until during that time, probably well after 1 a.m. And so it's like, okay, this is going to be fantastic. When it came out this week that it was going to be a 10 p.m. kickoff, I went, oh, no, maybe I'll watch the first quarter.
I'll catch the highlights the day after.
Yeah, most likely there's no way I make it to halftime.
That's where I am now. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's how I am now. I am not a night person. I'm not a morning person either, but I'm really not a night person. When the sun goes down, I want to be in bed. I prefer not to, I'd like to get all my work, my, chores, everything out of the way when the sun is up.
Yeah.
And then when the sun goes to sleep, so do I. But, some nights, I guess I'll sacrifice a little bit of sleep for this luxury of going to a movie.
There you go. You go. Well, I hope you enjoy it.
Oh, thank you.
I hope you enjoy it.
I'll suffer through a little bit.
806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. Your running topic today, we didn't have a chance to get to it yesterday. We're very busy. Didn't have a chance to get to it. Yesterday was like National Family Day, where you're supposed to do things as a family. The question that I have for you today, as the running topic, what are your favorite family activities? What do you like to do as a family, or what things should people bring back to do as a family? Like gathering around the dinner table. I have a feeling that the gathering around the dinner table is not as big today as it was 20, 30 years ago. What family activities should be brought back in style, or what are your favorite family activities to do today? You can text in at 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. You can weigh in on that topic and get in on any of the other big stories of the day, which we'll kick off when we come back. We'll get into some of the news of the day, some of the big topics. Kamala Harris talking about busting up the filibuster when it comes to abortion issues and much more. We'll be right back.
The Titan of Texas Talk Radio, Chad Hasty.
Talking with newsmakers and about the issues that matter to you. The Chad Hasty Show, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Chad's show is also digital with the Chad Hasty Show podcast. The Chad Hasty Show podcast can be downloaded on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and the Radio On Demand page at kfyo.com. The Chad Hasty Show, all across Texas during your drive home, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton.
Coming up on the Wednesday edition of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, looking at whether the Harris campaign is planning to do any additional interviews between now and Election Day. We'll take a tally of how it's going so far. Plus, Clay.
Look, it's under 6 weeks until the election. All of you need to get out and vote. We'll give you the absolute latest in the battleground states. That'll be the Wednesday edition, Clay and Buck.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton, tomorrow morning at 11.
All right, back on the Chad HD Show. Thank you very much for tuning in today. You can send in your thoughts on the text line, 806-680-2790. Axios with a headline out yesterday. Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign declining to say whether she still supports decriminalizing prostitution. It's a position she took while running for president back in 2019. It's among several of the progressive stances that Harris has either abandoned or gone silent on as she's moved towards the center in her abbreviated race for the White House. This from Axios. In February of 2019, The Root asked Harris whether she thought sex work ought to be decriminalized. She responded, "I think so. I do." Quote, "When you're talking about consenting adults, I think that, yes, we should really consider that. We can't criminalize consensual behavior as long as no one is being harmed," she said. Harris added that people in sex work who hurt another human being or profits off of their exploitation should be criminally prosecuted. Harris also told The Root when she was the district attorney for San Francisco, quote, "I was advocating then that we need to stop arresting these prostitutes and instead go after the Johns and the pimps because we were criminalizing the women." Harris has, of course, been inconsistent on the issue. In 2008, more than a decade before she ran for president, she opposed a San Francisco ballot initiative that decriminalized prostitution. She said, "I think it's completely ridiculous, just in case there's any ambiguity about my position." She told the New York Times back in 2008, she said, "I would put out a welcome mat for pimps and prostitutes to come into San Francisco." Or it would. Excuse me, not I would. It would. Let's see. The vice president's campaign did not respond. Well, they never respond. They don't do any sit-down interviews. They don't do anything. unless it's with a very friendly face. If it's Oprah, Kamala will sit down with Oprah every single day. She'll sit down with anyone from ABC News every single day. But she won't sit down with anyone from Fox News. She won't sit down with any real journalist out there who will ask her any questions. Instead, she just sits down. If she's asked something tough, she wants everyone to know that she grew up in a middle-class family, and then she moves on. Is it a campaign issue whether or not she is, for decriminalizing prostitution? Do most people care what her stance is on that issue? Probably not. But again, it goes to this trend of showing that Kamala Harris was, of course, very liberal on the issue, very quote-unquote progressive on the issue, and now she doesn't want anything to do with it. Harris also coming out backing the elimination of the filibuster to codify Roe v. Wade. The vice president telling Wisconsin Public Radio that she supports eliminating the Senate filibuster and the issue of Roe v. Wade. Harris's comments, the latest example of the Democrat presidential nominee trying to distinguish herself from Trump on the politically potent topic of abortion. As the nominee, Harris had until now not publicly said whether she would support bypassing the filibuster rule, which requires 60 votes for passage of most major legislation to enshrine abortion rights into federal law. And this is something, folks, the Democrats have never gotten close to having 60 votes to enshrine abortion rights into law. Even when they've had control of the Senate, they haven't had nearly the votes to get to that point. That's why when Donald Trump, in this last debate, he was right to bring up that she would never do it, that she would never be able to do it. So Kamala Harris is going around saying that the Trump abortion ban is this. There's no Trump abortion ban, but she's going around to calling it the Trump abortion ban. And then promising the women out there who love abortion, hey, don't worry, you elect me, and we'll make sure that you can have an abortion anytime you want to. We're going to enshrine it into the law. We're going to make sure that you can have an abortion at any time, and they're not going to have the numbers. She said, quote, I think we should eliminate the filibuster for Roe, Harris told the radio station in an interview that aired Tuesday. That way, she added, 51 votes would be what we need to actually put back into law the protections for reproductive freedom and for the ability of every person and every woman to make a decision about their own body. Well, except for the, actual baby. They don't get a choice. They don't get a say in any of this. And of course, Kamala Harris will never answer the question, when's the cutoff? Okay, when is the cutoff for abortion? Are you going to have a date? Are you going to have a timeline? What are you going to just say open ended? What's the cutoff here when it comes to abortion? She still will not answer that question. 806-680-2790. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer signaled last month that he would consider eliminating the filibuster on votes aimed at protecting abortion access if Democrats keep the majority. The prospect of further weakening longstanding Senate rules threatens to divide Democrats. Earlier this month, Axios reported that Bernie Sanders, who has long been skeptical of eliminating the filibuster, said he's willing to carve out an exception for abortion rights. Well, of course they are. They don't care about human life. Democrats don't give it when it comes to protecting life. Screw the filibuster, screw the Constitution. Forget about what the Supreme Court has said. We want to get rid of as many babies as possible. We want to make sure that we can kill off as many babies as possible. So we're going to move forward with this. Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema, both staunch filibuster defenders, affirmed their stances Tuesday following her remarks. And again, even if they were to have the Senate, there's absolutely no guarantee that they would have even the 51 votes needed in order to get rid of the filibuster on this. It's such a divided topic. One, the filibuster, and then two, abortion. That there'd be some Democrats who would want to maybe stay away from this. Not a lot, but there may be one or two who would want to stay away from this issue. Some text messages coming in. Sean in Abilene said, just took the family camping last weekend. Sometimes we have a dance night where we each pick songs and dance around the house. That from Sean in Abilene as far as their favorite family activities. Let's see. Robert weighed in recently, 3.5 to 4 years. What I like to do with the family, with this abysmal economy, anything that is somewhat affordable. You have to take out a small loan to get a decent steak. That from Robert. And then texture, you guys both understand the primary axiom of marriage: if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. When we come back, your phone calls, your text messages, and much more here on the Chad Hasty Show.
The Chad Hasty Show, weekdays 5 to 7 p.m. Sound off during the show by sending Chad a text at 806-680-2790.
Watch out! You got me!
The galaxy is safe once again.
In the pretend universe, kids play with pretend guns. In the real world, it's up to us to make sure they don't get their hands on a real gun. If you have a gun in the house, keep it locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
I'm a pretty great multitasker. I can wash dishes and do laundry. I can roller skate while walking my dog. I can even order lunch while doing my homework. But I can't use my phone while driving. A distracted driver is one of the leading causes of death in the United States. So when it comes to driving, please, don't be a multitasker.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
The news and talk of West Texas. News Talk 95.1 and 790 KFYO. You're listening to The Chad Hasty Show.
All right, back on the Chad Hasty Show. Thank you very much for tuning in. Yeah, some folks on the app chat wondering my thoughts on the Lubbock County staying with the no new revenue rate. I think it's fantastic. Good job to Commissioners Corley and Rackler for sticking to their guns on this one. I know the county judge is very upset. County judge is very upset, and he's scared. He's scared too. It's scary out there. This from the what is this? The AJ. Pierce said the new budget that was adopted Monday draws on the county's reserve fund balance to help make up for some of the lost property tax revenue, which he says is necessary, but admitted is not sustainable fiscal policy. Quote, it's a little scary. A lot of unanswered questions, Pierce said. We know that we have elevators that need to be replaced that we cannot do now because this budget that was passed this year. Also in the budget adopted Tuesday, a reduction in the amount of salary increases that county employees will receive this year, down to 3% from 5%, and a notable rollback of the county's road maintenance program, Pierce said. Quote, prior to me taking office, we were doing 18 miles of road maintenance in Lubbock County a year. We got that up to 50 miles of road each year, Parrish said. Now we're having to go back to 18 miles of road. Why are we having to go back? Why are all there? Again, this is going to be a question moving forward. Lubbock County is still bringing in more money. Even with this budget, they will still bring more money in than they did last year. So it seems like some of the drastic cuts here, the scary cuts that Parrish talks about, these are self-inflicted. You're doing this to punish some of these commissioners. Which, if that's what you want to do, just go out there and say that. Instead, he goes to the AJ and says, that saddens me because I think this county has grown substantially and will continue to grow substantially, and it will. And that means you'll be bringing in more money every single year. Even if you hold the line on the no new revenue rate, you'll still be bringing in more money because the county continues to grow. Meanwhile, you've got Corley and Rackler, both of them say everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. And there's no guarantee that they're going to hold to the no new revenue rate next year. There's no guarantee that there won't be a tax increase in future years. There's no guarantee that here in a few years we'll be looking back and going, you know what, we're going to have to raise taxes because we held to the no new revenue rate. But this year, when people are struggling, when you have a horrible economy, and when you have constituents who have been reaching out and going, please stop increasing these taxes. Stop taking more and more money every single year. You know, this idea that, and I've seen it on social media from a few people, and it's insane. It's an insane argument that Corley and Rackler didn't do their job, that they didn't show up to work, that they're not doing their job as county commissioners. They absolutely are doing their jobs. I understand the argument from some that, well, you need to show up, and if you lose, you lose. Yeah, but if you have a way to stop a tax increase, and it's a legal way to do it, there's a legal maneuver to do it, and there hasn't been a good faith effort to actually negotiate, I say do it. I don't think you're going to have anybody that looks at Jason Corley and Jordan Rackler and go, you know what? You guys saved me money. I can't believe you did that. How dare you? I know the county judge believes that everybody wants a tax increase. I know the county judge believes that everybody is excited about tax increases, and they are very ready to get rid of their money and hand it over to the county and hand it over to the county judge for him to do whatever he wants to do with the money. That's what he thinks, but I have not, other than maybe a handful, and I really do mean less than 8. I've had less than 8 people who have reached out to me who are upset with Corley and Rackler and believe that they're doing the wrong thing. I've had absolutely less than 8, probably less than 5. Meanwhile, I've had a lot of other folks who have said, keep going. This is what they love. That when you're seeing tax increases everywhere else, when you're seeing tax increases, when you're seeing taxes going up everywhere else, when you have the price of insurance going up, when you have the price of food going up, when you have the price of everything going up, they just want a little bit of relief. And it's amazing that Curtis Parrish just doesn't understand that. Either he doesn't understand it or he doesn't give a damn. I'm not sure which one it is, but it's got to be one of the two. Because he keeps going out to the media and warning, basically acting as though doom and gloom is going to happen in Lubbock County. That dark clouds will be arriving over Lubbock County. And it's simply isn't true. We'll be fine. And next year, you want to come back, and this is what I've said since the beginning. I want the sheriff to have everything the sheriff needs to take care of business in Lubbock County. The number one job of the government is to protect its citizens, law and order. And you start from there. Start from there. Next year, he goes, okay, what do you need? What does the sheriff need? Take care of the sheriff's department, and then move forward. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with saying, you know what? How many open positions do you have now? How many extra officers do you want to hire? Or do we have the ability to hire that many? Do we need to set aside funds for 8 positions when you can only hire 4 positions? Can we go back later and get more money to add for more open positions at a later time? Instead of dedicating, money for 8 positions that we can't possibly fill. And then I know they have these work sessions where they invite people to go at 1:00 in the afternoon, during the middle of the day when people are at work. Maybe have some work sessions in the evening. Maybe have some work sessions when people, real people who have jobs, when they can go to these meetings. It's one thing that the Lubbock County Commissioners, they do everything. It's almost like they want everything behind closed doors. They want everything in secret. They don't want people showing up. That's why they hold their meetings in the middle of the day when people can't possibly go. Have town hall meetings. Have meetings about what you need for the budget. You know when it's going to happen. You know it's going to happen every year. Do a Lubbock County road show tour where you go around and you talk to people and say, here's what the money's going to be spent on. I think for a lot of folks, when it comes to the county, they look at it and go, where's the money going? Where's the money going? Is it being spent the right way? I still think there are a lot of voters, a lot of constituents who just don't trust what's going on with Lubbock County. And you guys have got to earn back that trust. You've got to do it. And maybe by having a more open process, you'll start to earn that trust back. And maybe when you go to the voters and say, hey, we're going to need a tax increase for this issue, maybe they'll say, okay. Depends on the issue. Also depends on how the economy is. Depends on what the city of Lubbock is going to do. Depends on what Lubbock ISD and Lubbock Cooper and Friendship and the surrounding school districts are doing. Again, people are taxed enough. They're sick and tired of throwing more and more and more and more of their hard-earned money. They're sick and tired of handing it over to the government. And government officials just, I know you like to say, oh, well, Lubbock County's growing. We got to have this. You've got to understand there are people who are sick and tired of handing their money over, and they can't move. They don't want to move. They want you to find a better solution. Instead of just, we want your money, give us your money. And then you take an attitude of, well, if you don't like it, just move. I think that comment is going to haunt Curtis Parrish for the rest of his political career, however short it may be in the future. Because no matter what position he may run for in the future, county judge or whatever it may be, that quote's going to follow him. And I don't know if he cares about that or not. I don't know if he cares how horrible, how elitist that made him sound, how cold that made him sound, that if you don't like it, you don't like tax increases, just move. Maybe for some people they're able to. Maybe for some people they're able just to pack it all up and get out. Not everyone can do that. Not everyone wants to do that, Judge. Some people like where where they live. Some people want to stay in their family house. Some people want to stay where they are living right now. They don't want to be thrown out. They don't want to have to be forced to move. 806-680-2790. When we come back, your phone calls, your text, and more.
The Chad Hasty Show can be heard all over West Texas, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Tune in on News Talk 95.1 and 790 KFYO in Lubbock, News Talk 940 in Amarillo, News Talk 94.7 and 1470 KYYW in Abilene, and in Wichita Falls on News Talk 96.3 and 1290. The Chad Hasty Show. Make it a part of your drive home, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton.
Coming up on the Wednesday edition of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, looking at whether the Harris campaign is planning to do any additional interviews between now and Election Day. We'll take a tally of how it's going so far. Plus, Clay.
Look, it's under 6 weeks until the election. All of you need to get out and vote. We'll give you the absolute latest in the battleground states. That'll be the Wednesday edition, Clay and Buck.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton, tomorrow morning at 11.
Back on the Chad Hasty Show. I just noticed I've got 3 clocks in here. And 3 different times. So that's good. That's good. We're so it's sometime out there. 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. You can weigh in on any of the topics, any of the things that we've been getting into today. Also, your favorite family activities and family activities that need to be brought back. You can weigh in on the text line 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. How about this? Will Texas implement a cell phone ban in schools? This out of San Antonio. Texas leaders considering a cell phone ban on schools as threats rise on campuses statewide. There have been a ton of arrests, by the way, statewide on these different. Some of them have been hoaxes. Others have been where you've had a student threaten another student, and they've actually found a weapon. Some of these students who are calling in these hoax bomb threats, and I say calling in, they're posting on social media that there's going to be a bomb go off or a mass shooting that takes place. Some of these kids are as young as 11 years old that are now being arrested for putting this out on social media, that there's going to be either a bomb go off or a shooting at the school. And you've had in some districts where 7 students are arrested, 8 students arrested. There was a story out of, I want to say, Houston today where 8 students were arrested for posting these threats. You've got 30 cases out of Austin that they're taking a look at. At least 6 students have been arrested in Austin due to these threats. So it's something where it's obviously the hoaxes. I don't know if these kids think that they can just post whatever the hell they want to on social media and get away with it, but they're being charged with making terroristic threats. That's not something you want chasing you when you're moving through life. And you've had a lot of these threats that have happened, and students will just post these threats on social media thinking they won't get caught. They try to post them anonymously. And sometimes this happens while they're sitting inside a classroom. And so state leaders are looking at not only because of the rise in these threats, but also because students are just being distracted by cell phones. Texas leaders considering a cell phone ban. The Texas Education Agency Commissioner Mike Morath endorsed a ban, claiming the devices distract students from learning and they're harmful to children's mental health. Morath advocated for a ban during his testimony at a Senate Education Committee hearing on Wednesday. He also said that student outcomes on national and state exams, Texas students are coming up short, of which only 41% of Texas students demonstrated an adequate understanding of math. He said, at least from my perspective, cell phones are extremely harmful for student learning. If it were in my power, I would have already banned them in all schools across the state. So I want to know your thoughts. Should the state of Texas ban cell phones in classrooms, or should it be left up to individual schools, individual districts? Let us know. We'll be right back.
The Chad Hasty Show, a presentation of the Texas Town Square Media Network. The views and opinions expressed during the Chad Hasty Show are not necessarily the views of this station staff, management, advertisers, or Town Square Media. Broadcasting from the great state of Texas, this is The Chad Hasty Show. News and views with a Lone Star perspective. You can sound off during the show by sending Chad a text at 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. Or call in at 1-800-687-0790. Now, here's Chad Hasty.
All right, back on the Chad Hasty Show. Thank you for tuning in today. Got a flurry of text messages come in. We'll get to those here in just a bit. 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. You can also give us a call at 1-800-687-0790. You know, we were talking about this possible cell phone ban. That again, if it's going to happen, and you had some state lawmakers who commented on it, it said that it may come up during the session. But Donna Campbell, she's one of the Texas state senators, Republican state senators, who said, this should be up to the districts. The districts need to do this and take charge on this one. But it may come up during the next legislative session. But there's no guarantee that anything would pass. There's no guarantee that it would be even a top issue in the upcoming legislative session when you have many other issues that are going to be top issues. Let's see some of the text messages coming in. Bill in Amarillo says, actually, I'm sick and tired of hearing about abortion. I feel abortion is murder and has been happening throughout the ages. God will take care of those who choose that way out of their sexual mistakes. Another texter weighing in. As population increases, you'll have rising crime, increased disease, and other social ills. Would it be beneficial to calculate where Lubbock County is? That from Richard. Another texter weighing in. I live in Jason Corley's district. I'm glad he stood his ground. The judge needs to tighten up like the rest of us. County doesn't lose anything, but people actually do lose their homes. Taxes are getting too high. Another texture, Wichita Falls is just as bad on taxes. That's why I moved. Seems like every time you turn around, taxes went up again, housing's outrageous, and they pour on more taxes. And you're seeing it all over the place. It's not just Lubbock County. This is a state issue. This is all over the state where taxes are going up. And remember, some of this is voter inflected, where they go through and voters will approve of different bonds, or they'll approve of different projects, some of which are good, some of which are just things that people wanted. So you have to remember that. Another texter, ban them. Talking about cell phones, they're not there to do anything. They aren't there to do anything on their phones. Another texter says the kids that are posting these threats, hoping it'll get the school shut down and they'll get out of school early. They don't realize they're putting their futures in danger. See, when I was in school, you would have the occasional bomb threat every now and then. And it was always during testing time. You knew that someone was trying to get out of a test, someone was trying to delay a test or whatever. So we would have the bomb threat called in. Everyone would evacuate. Nobody ran out of the school. Everyone was just like, okay, here we go again. If it was a bad weather day, everyone hated it. Everyone was just, and you would stay. You knew it wasn't a big threat when you would just walk outside the class or walk outside the building, and everyone would turn around. And if you really thought about it, if you were in any kind of danger whatsoever, you were standing way too close to the building, way too close to the building. Nowadays, but at that point, you had to have people go out and they had to call in the bomb threat. Now people just make threats on social media, and somebody else reads it. It gets shared on social media, and oftentimes it's posted as an anonymous threat. Of course, those can be tracked, and that's something that students, they don't realize. It just because you post something anonymously doesn't mean it's going to remain anonymous. Doesn't mean it's going to work that way. Paul from Post weighing in. Yes, ban cell phones, but should be done by individual school districts. If the school test scores are going down, the district should be able to make the decision without having Big Daddy make the decision for them. Well, they should be able to. But it's also something that you get parents who get upset about this. There are some parents who want total access to their kids when they're in school. They want to be able to text their kid. They want to be able to text and see what's going on. What are they up to? What are they doing? How's the school day going? I mean, there have been parents who have pushed back against the idea of banning cell phones in classrooms. But I think we will. I think we're going to see more of this. One, as AI gets spread onto more cell phones and iPads and everything else, where it's going to be a lot easier for kids to use AI to answer questions. I think you're going to see a lot of these cell phones that have to go away in the classrooms. And yes, as continued threats and social media and just the fallout of social media continues, I think you're going to see more and more school districts that say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and jump on board the trend of banning the cell phone. 806-680-2790. Let's go out to Abilene. And hang on one second here. That's where Alan is at. Alan in Abilene. What's going on today?
Well, my deal with banning the cell phone sounds just like the Democrats wanting to ban guns because they're blaming the phone and instead of the student. Go back to when I was a kid 40, 50 years ago, bring back corporal punishment, punish those kids to the full extent of the law, and make examples of them.
Yeah.
That's what they did to us when we were kids, and we knew not to do stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's it's a good argument. I would say the only, you don't have a right to a cell phone. You got to remember that. You do have that right to a firearm. You don't have the right to a cell phone. But yeah, but I understand what you're saying.
What I was saying is, yeah, the Democrats are wanting to ban guns, and we got gun bans in all these other stores and buildings and stuff.
Yeah.
But you can carry a cell phone in there, so what's the difference?
Yeah, you're getting to the ultimate deal, personal responsibility, which we have basically trashed here in the United States. There is no personal responsibility anymore. Schools have gotten rid of punishing students, and forget about SWAT. So they've gotten rid of that inside the schools.
Well, it's not really the schools; it's the parents.
Yeah. Well,
that's where it starts with.
And you've got a lot of parents who just they don't care. They don't.
Exactly.
They don't
punish
care.
the parents.
Yeah. No, that's a good call. Alan, appreciate it. Have a great day in Abilene.
All right, thank you, sir.
And don't forget this too. And this was brought up a while back. Is also a very good argument that we have been able to, and I say we in general. There have been students who have used cell phones in classrooms to expose woke teachers and to expose the some of the things that are going on inside the classrooms that we never thought would have happened. And so the idea of a cell phone, man, at first it may sound good and needed and welcomed, but there is another side to it, which is there have been students and teachers and administrators who have used cell phones in the classrooms for a good thing, who have used it to make sure that everything is on the up and up in the classroom. So that's another flip side of the argument. Another texter weighing in. This from Mud and Burke Burnett. When Donald Trump's granddaughter was speaking at the Republican National Convention, she talked about how he would text her while she was in class and asked her about her golf game. Yeah, which she had to tell him, Grandpa, I'm in school right now. But I would say that if Donald Trump's if the former president, your grandfather, he's texting you, you may get a little bit of a break. You might get a little bit of a break if the president's texting you or giving you a call. You might get a little bit of a break. 806-680-2790. Another texter. Let's see. Accountability, not responsibility. When we had guns and teachers in schools, we didn't have these problems. In my day, we would go and get our guns out of our trucks and hunt those down. Yeah, when you could have a rifle in the back of your truck. You used to have schools that would have parking lots full of students who would park and had rifles in their truck. They'd go hunting during the morning, then go to school. When we come back, your phone calls, your text messages, and much more on the Chad Hasty Show.
Song of the South, sweet potato pie and a shirt.
The Titan of Texas Talk Radio, Chad Hasty.
Talking with newsmakers and about the issues that matter to you. The Chad Hasty Show, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Chad's show is also digital with the Chad Hasty Show podcast. The Chad Hasty Show podcast can be downloaded on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and the Radio On Demand page at kfyo.com. The Chad Hasty Show, all across Texas during your drive home, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton.
Coming up on the Wednesday edition of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, looking at whether the Harris campaign is planning to do any additional interviews between now and Election Day. We'll take a tally of how it's going so far. Plus, Clay.
Look, it's under 6 weeks until the election. All of you need to get out and vote. We'll give you the absolute latest in the battleground states. That'll be the Wednesday edition, Clay and Buck.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton, tomorrow morning at 11.
Back on the Chad Hasty Show. Thank you very much for tuning in today. And don't forget, you can follow along on social media at Chad Hasty Radio. You can download the Chad Hasty Show podcast. Give us 5 stars when you do that. Whether you find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast, wherever, just Spotify, your favorite podcast platform. You can find the Chad Hasty Show and the Current and Cask podcast as well. All right, text coming in. As a teacher and a mom, I want my child to have their phone at school, especially since they typically have to ride the bus home or they get home before I do and they're younger. I think if it's a safety tool, it would definitely be allowed. And I think that's from the parents who do want their kids to have their cell phone on them. They do view it as a safety tool. And they want to know what's going on and be able to contact their kid whenever, especially if something comes up. How about this story? This is out of Breitbart. The son of the would-be Donald Trump assassin, the son of this Ryan Ruth guy. The son has been arrested for charges of child pornography. The son of Ryan Ruth, the latter of whom has been arrested in connection to the second assassination attempt against the former president, has been charged with possessing child pornography. Ron Ruth is facing federal charges for possession of child pornography after investigators searched his home in Greensboro, North Carolina. According to reports, the search was in connection with an investigation unrelated to child exploitation. ABC News confirmed that the unrelated investigation is indeed in reference to Iran's father, who was arrested on September 14th in connection to a second assassination attempt against Trump in Florida. According to the AP, investigators seized multiple electronic devices, found hundreds of files depicting child sexual abuse, according to court papers. And see, this is a family who they've been out telling everyone how evil Trump is, how Trump, he's a bad person, he's a terrible person. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this guy's got kiddie porn on his computer. He faces 2 charges of possessing and receiving child sexual abuse material. The arrest follows the Biden-Harris Justice Department releasing a letter allegedly penned by Ryan Ruth, who offered $150,000 to, quote, whomever can complete the job and murder Trump. So the son now of this would-be assassin in a little bit of hot water. Glad they caught him. Glad they were able to take the guy off the streets, that's for sure. 806-680-2790. I wonder how nervous he was when the FBI started searching his house. They go in there, well, we're searching for stuff due to your father, what your father allegedly did. And he's sitting there going, oh, no. He is probably a little bit nervous. And the FBI probably, they wondered, why is this guy so nervous? Oh, okay. Hey, how about this? The Washington Post. A headline today, Trump gets compared with history's great villain because his rhetoric is that bad. This opinion piece from Catherine Ramble. In which she writes that equating a political figure with fascist sounds absurd. It's just so over the top. It might not win over any additional allies. People roll their eyes and tune out when they hear commentators or historians warn yet again about another great big bad dictator. Problem is, Donald Trump seems intent on making the Hitler comparison happen. See, here we go. Here we go again. Now the Washington Post is making an excuse, or at least one of their writers making an excuse, that Trump is basically Hitler. And that this is all Trump's fault. That Trump being called Hitler, it's his fault because of the language he uses. Now, the last time I checked, Donald Trump was not talking about wiping out the Jews. Let me double check here. No, in fact, that's the members of the Democrat Party who sing about wiping out the Jews. Yeah, that's in backing the terrorists who want to kill Jews. Let me see, is that Donald Trump or is that members of the Democrat Party? Oh, no, that's the leftist out there. Okay. In recent weeks, the Republican presidential nominee and his running mate have ramped up their baseless claims about violent invasions from impure foreigners, echoing the blood and soil style rhetoric deployed nearly a century ago. At a rally this past weekend in North Carolina, Trump declared that a vote for Kamala Harris means 40 or 50 million more illegal aliens will invade our borders, stealing your money, stealing your jobs, and stealing your life. He added that migrants were already attacking villages and cities throughout the Midwest. Folks, it's happening. You have a very violent gang from Venezuela who basically they're taking over different hotels, different apartment complexes, and waging wars inside towns across America. They believe in shooting at police officers and killing police officers. It's not chilling language when it's actually happening and when Donald Trump is warning, hey, the borders are over here. Kamala Harris, she's so bad at her job and she wants open borders that you're going to have the third world continue to flood into the United States, and you're going to continue to have third world problems in the United States if you allow the third world to continue to come in. It's accurate. It's true. We've seen it. We've seen it play out in large cities like New York City. We've seen it play out there. We've seen it play out in El Paso. We've seen it play out in Aurora, Colorado, where these gangs are taking over and where you have some illegal immigrants who are wanting to kill people just for the sake of killing people. That's not Nazi language. That's not Adolf Hitler type of language. It's actually happening. And pointing that out is not Nazi-ish. It's not, it's not a fascist thing to do. It's an accurate thing to do. When we come back, your phone calls, your text, and much more on the Chad Hasty Show.
Call in to the Chad Hasty Show at 1-800-687-0790. The Chad Hasty Show, broadcasting on the Texas Town Square Media Network. Today's markets from the Texas Department of Ag.
Well, howdy, neighbors. Texas feeder cattle auctions reported prices steady. Cattle futures were down, with October live cattle futures down on nickel to close at $183.20. And September feeder cattle futures were down 15 cents to close at $244.95. October cotton futures were up, closing at $73.10. December wheat futures were down a nickel, closing at $5.71. And December corn was down a penny to close at $4.12 per bushel. November soybean futures were up 3 cents, closing at $10.42 per bushel. And October soybean meal futures were down $2.90 to close at $323.60 per ton. September class 3 milk futures were down 2 pennies, closing at $23.34 per hundredweight. And October crude oil futures were up $1.03 to close at $71.55 per barrel. And the Dow Jones was up 83 points to close at 42,208. And that's the market roundup from the Texas Department of Agriculture. I'm Marshall Webb, filling in for Commissioner Sid Miller. And remember, friends, Texas agriculture matters.
The news and talk of West Texas. News Talk 95.1 and 790 KFYO. Don't you forget about Chad. at Chad Hasty Radio on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and on your radio. Now, back to the Chad Hasty Show.
All right, back on the Chad Hasty Show. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget, you can check out the podcast. It's available for you. Give us a nice little 5-star rating whenever you check in on the Apple Podcast version or any platform that's out there. Subscribe and follow today. The Chad Hasty Show podcast, also Current and Cask. You can download both of those and leave us nice 5-star ratings. If you could. It makes everyone feel good when you do that. You can also weigh in on the text line at 806-680-2790. Lawrence weighing in on the text line. Chad, do you have plans on interviewing Ted Cruz anytime soon? Seems as if he could really use a big voter turnout from West Texas. Well, we had Ted Cruz on Friday. You'll have to go back and listen to, was it Friday's show that we had him on Friday show. That's right. Yeah. We had him on Friday's show. So go back on the podcast and you can listen to the Cruz interview with us then. Listen, I agree. Cruz absolutely needs help out here. I do not believe that Ted Cruz is down by 1 percentage point in Texas. I agree with those who are other longtime watchers of Texas politics that if Ted Cruz was really in trouble of losing Texas, if Ted Cruz was really down 1 percentage point or 2 percentage points in Texas, there would be a lot more alarms going off than what you see right now. One poll that shows Cruz losing to Colin Allred does not mean Texas is flipping. I still believe Ted Cruz will win Texas by about 4 to 5 percentage points. Maybe he does better than that, but about 5 percentage points is where I think Ted Cruz will win. Lower than he should. It'll be lower than he should, but I think that you're not going to see a huge blowout, I don't believe, from Ted Cruz. I don't think you're going to see a huge blowout from Donald Trump. In the last election, Texas was, I want to say it was right around 53-46, somewhere around there in the race between Trump and Biden here in Texas. So again, you're going to have high Democrat turnout. You're going to have high Republican turnout. Republican voters, if they do their job and turn out to vote, if they get out and vote early, vote on election day, do whatever. I say you should feel free to get out and vote early. You really should. Get out and vote early because you don't know what's going to happen on election day. You have no idea. God forbid you get into a car accident. Something happened where something bad weather, happens on election day. Something just gets in the way of you voting or you getting other people out to vote. And I know a lot of people who are doing this. They're going to vote early, and then they're going to spend election day seeing if they can take people to the polls. And I like that. That's a great way of still participating on election day, because I know a lot of people really just enjoy the participation on election day. And I have heard from quite a few people who are actually going to go, and they're going to help drive some elderly folks to the polls to do just to get people out to vote. And I think it's a wonderful idea to do that. This week, we're going to discuss different ways of getting involved and different ways you can have discussions with other people about politics, and maybe not in an offensive way or in a way that's going to scare people off and they run away, but different ways you can have that conversation with someone about what's going on in our world and why we need to get Trump back in office, because I've had so many people who have been asking me these questions of, how do I talk to other people without coming across as, all doom and gloom, without coming across as whatever. Because there are a lot of people who do not believe in speaking about politics anymore. They don't like it. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about it at the dinner table. They don't want to talk about it in little friend groups when they go out. But then there are others who go, I feel like I should. I feel like I should bring it up. And you should. There's nothing wrong. There is nothing wrong at all with bringing up politics in mixed company. There's nothing wrong with bringing up the election. People bring up things that don't matter all the time. Look, I'm a long-suffering Dallas Cowboys fan. Long-suffering Dallas Cowboys fan. There will be more people in my orbit of friends who want to talk about the failure of the Dallas Cowboys than that'll want to talk about the world of politics. Just telling you, there will be more people wanting to talk about the NFL than will want to talk about the upcoming election. And there will probably be more people who are much more well-versed on what's happening in the NFL and maybe much more well-versed on what's going on some of the new TV shows that are out there than they are the world of politics. So we have to have that conversation. We have to discuss the world of politics because this stuff does matter. The election does matter. We're going to be getting into that at different points throughout the program this week. And also, back to the texture, back to Lawrence asking about Cruz. I think you're going to see Ted Cruz probably do a lot more campaigning in October. Over the weekend, I saw some Cruz. It was a PAC who put out an ad for Ted Cruz about the poor girl who was killed down in the Houston area by an illegal immigrant. I don't know if you remember that story or not, but an illegal immigrant who had raped and killed this young girl. I think she was 14, maybe 15 years old, and threw her in the bayou and just he killed her. He raped and killed her. And it features this girl's mother speaking about how Colin Allred is all for open borders and would be fine with more illegal immigrants coming across the border and doing things like this. And so it was a very powerful ad, very good ad, I thought. And I saw it a couple of times while watching some of the different NFL games this weekend. And so you'll probably see some more ads like that coming out. And there's going to be more to see, I hope, from the Cruz campaign. Cruz, I believe, needs to get out there more. And this has been something I've been critical of the Cruz campaign the last go around and this go around. I think they need to campaign more. I think they need to be in West Texas and in the big country and in the Panhandle more. They need to be in this area, the West Texas firewall, to get people excited to get out and vote. Donald Trump does suck all the air out of the room when it comes to the world of politics. So I think the Cruz camp has kind of looked at it going, okay, do people really want to talk about a Senate campaign right now? Do they really want to see a Senate campaign right now? Or is it all about Trump? And let's be honest, it's been all about Trump for a while. And so I think going into early voting is when you're going to start seeing a lot more of the Cruz campaign out and about and dropping money. Let's see. You can send in your thoughts on the text line 806-680-2790 when we come back. Your phone calls, your text, and more.
The Chad Hasty Show can be heard all over West Texas, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Tune in on News Talk 95.1 and 790 KFYO in Lubbock, News Talk 940 in Amarillo, News Talk 94.7 and 1470 KYYW in Abilene, and in Wichita Falls on News Talk 96.3 and 1290. The Chad Hasty Show. Make it a part of your drive home. Weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton.
Coming up on the Wednesday edition of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, looking at whether the Harris campaign is planning to do any additional interviews between now and Election Day. We'll take a tally of how it's going so far. Plus, Clay.
Look, it's under 6 weeks until the election. All of you need to get out and vote. We'll give you the absolute latest in the battleground states. That'll be the Wednesday edition, Clay and Buck.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton. Tomorrow morning at 11.
Back on the Chad Hasty Show as we begin to wrap things up. A couple of different items here. Jury clearing all but one defendant in the Texas Trump train trial. We'll have more on that tomorrow. And video from 2018 obtained by the Daily Mail shows Kamala Harris chanting alongside protesters and Jussie Smollett. They were chanting down, down with deportation, up with agitation. And then they would follow that up with a nifty little liner saying down, down with deportation. Everyone's clapping. They had drums and everything. Kamala said, I'm watching the video now. Kamala she's kind of doing she's kind of doing a lady who's had a little bit too much Chardonnay dance, where she's just kind of like pointing up to the sky and then pointing down to the ground a little bit, and then she's kind of doing the deal where you just move your arms about just a little bit, and it seems like you're doing. Then she starts laughing and clapping at everybody like she does. So there you have that. Yeah, the down with deportation. Up with agitation. Kamala Harris from back in 2018. I'm sure she doesn't believe in that anymore, but her values haven't changed. Just you got to remember that her values haven't changed. Just her opinions on basically every issue from 2018 have allegedly changed, at least during the election season. Trump over the weekend is saying that he would not run if he loses. Trump says if he loses, 2024 run will be his last. That's according to the AP. He said on Sunday that he doesn't think he'd run again. Completely close the door, I guess. If you're Trump in 2018, if he falls short in his bid to return to the White House in 2024, quote, I think that'll be it'll be that, Trump said when journalist Cheryl Atkinson asked him if he'd ever run again. The comment was notable both because Trump seemed to rule out a fourth bid for the White House and because he rarely admits to the possibility that he could legitimately lose an election. Trump normally insists that can only happen if there were widespread cheating. Trump would be 82 in 2028, a year older than Joe Biden is now. Biden bowed out of the race in July following a coup. They write following his disastrous debate performance in months of being hammered by Trump and other conservatives who are being too old and erratic for the job. I'm telling you, Trump and the Republicans really fell into the trap with the Democrats and their coup against Joe. Really did fall into a trap here. But Trump says that he would not run again in 2028. Another story here. The U.S. announces it's sending troops to the Middle East, warns Americans to leave Lebanon. The U.S. will be sending more troops to the Middle East in response to the surge in violence between Israel and Hezbollah as the region teeters on the edge of an all-out war. The Pentagon announced Monday the additional service members would be deployed to join the 40,000 already stationed in the region, along with a dozen warships and fighter jet squadrons, which I find really odd because Kamala Harris, during the debate, said that there's no active duty troops in any war zone area in the world. Remember that? And ABC allowed her just to spout that off as though it were fact. It wasn't a fact at all. Israeli forces have ramped up airstrikes deep inside Lebanon, and the State Department has warned all Americans to leave as risk of the conflict spirals to levels not seen in years. You know, Joe Biden really has, no matter what happens in November, he's really, really screwed up the world and has left a really messed up world map for Donald Trump or, God help us, Kamala Harris. And I don't think Kamala Harris can do anything. I don't think Kamala Harris has the respect or the knowledge, the wherewithal. I don't think she has it when it comes to handling what's going on, not only in the Middle East, but also in Russia and in China as well. I don't think that she'd be able to handle it all. Whereas Trump, we know exactly just the what he would bring to the world table if elected, and that is it's a point that not many people are really speaking about. I know a lot of people are focused on the economy, and that's where a lot of focus should be. It should be on the economy. It should be on the border. But I think another point that people need to look at and discuss heavily is, who do you think is really ready to handle the world stage? Who is really ready to handle world conflict? When you look at what Trump did when he was president with no new wars versus what we've seen under the Biden-Harris regime, which is an all-out debacle in the Middle East and between Russia and Ukraine, and yes, with China as well. I think that's something that people need to take a look at and really consider for the next 4 years. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Stay safe, stay healthy. God bless you all. Follow me on social media at Chad HD Radio. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 5 p.m.
The Chad Hasty Show, a presentation of the Texas Town Square Media Network. The views and opinions expressed during the Chad Hasty Show are not necessarily the views of this station staff, management, advertisers, or Town Square Media.